This is not another self-development video that is going to leave you feeling like shit. I'm not here to give you another strategy that you're gonna quit in 2 weeks. You might feel called out at times, but I promise by the end of this video, you will feel caught up into your power. Today, I'm gonna break down the 7 laws to rewire the way you see yourself inside out within 60 days. If you had to take just 2 lessons from this video, I would focus on lesson 1 and lesson 6. So grab a sweet treat, grab a cold drink, and let's get straight into it. Lesson number 1. Identity is the motherboard of your reality. Identity is the motherboard. If that's corrupted, every new habit is just bad code stapled on top of an outdated system. That's why every restart feels harder. Think about it, like you don't say, I hope I'll brush my teeth today. You just do it. But when it comes to your body, getting to the gym, eating healthier, you hope you'll have time to meal prep. You'll hope you'll have time to fit into the gym. You'll try to eat better. Language here is the leak. Every time you say try, you're casting a vote for your old self. The concept of identity being your motherboard it's the very thing that connects everything together. Without it, everything feels disconnected, fragmented. Everything you see, touch, experience, and react is a direct mirror of your own mind. Not your brain, but actual your own mind. This isn't even theory, this is the very mechanism of reality. When it comes to reality and fat loss success, if you don't shift identity first, every strategy, whether you start a calorie deficit, you start a 75 hard, it is just stapling new habits on top of an outdated OS. Quite like the iPhone, you have to update your phone every few months because you have a new OS. This is the very same thing that happens when you start a new goal. You have to shift identity before any strategy can stick. I'm no coder, but bad code crashes the system, which is why every restart feels harder and slower than the last. Self-image. This has to be the absolute first shift to succeed in any goal. You carry the same problems into your new life, just manifested in different fonts. So the 2 main things to get started in shifting your self-image is first, finding alignment. When you think about your future self, are you putting her on a pedestal? The way she dresses, how she talks, the thoughts that she has, the perfume scent she wears. You have to operate from that new identity. If it doesn't align, it dies. The second thing is leaks. When you say one thing, but do another. The dissonance rots you from the inside out. It creates this sense of chronic low-grade pain. People sense something's off. Your bosses, partners, friends, and that tension will continue to grow until you either align or crumble. A quick audit you can do is first, does how you dress, talk, the perfume you wear match the woman you say you're becoming? Or are you putting her on a pedestal, like she's someone else that you're chasing? Momentum is quite literally the real life jetpack that catapults you into the direction where there is no going back. And it comes the moment you stop saying maybe and start by saying, this is me now. I don't have to wait until tomorrow, Monday, next month, next year. You can literally decide within the next 5 minutes that you are going to shift into that woman right here, right now. To get alignment, to fix your leaks, to fix momentum, you have to first audit. Quite like you deep clean your room every Sunday or every 2 weeks, it will get very messy before you tidy it. This means digging deep and listing the beliefs, the patterns, habit you currently hold and decide whether it moves you closer or further away from your future. This might be controversial because I believe in operating from my feminine, but the whole soft girl era movement can be detrimental in building momentum because you're constantly creating energetic ceilings and leaks before actually pushing yourself to what you can actually do. And when you start to go through all these shifts, you will face conflict. Your transformation will make others uncomfortable, not because it's selfish or attention seeking, but because you're bringing in a different energy, which sets off a ripple effect. And this ripple effect is mostly positive. Maybe you won't see it yet. But what really is happening is you will either inspire or become a mirror of others' own fears and insecurities. There is no way to resolve conflict without a slight sense of discomfort. However, the quickest way is creating proof. continue to create an undeniable stack of evidence is quite literally the only way through any discomfort in your life. And if you continue to avoid that comfort, you continue to avoid building proof, and you continue to increase the discomfort in your current reality. This next lesson is a hot one. Pretty privilege is real. Before I get into this lesson, I have been on all sides of the spectrum. I've been really shredded, I've been slim thick, I've been thick, I've been fat, I've been overweight, and I've lived in Asia, and I've lived in Western societies. I've been surrounded by so many different cultures. So when I talk about pretty privilege, I'm not speaking purely from theory. I'm speaking from lived experience. As someone who's also half Asian and half white, growing up in Asian society, moving abroad, I've experienced this firsthand. What is pretty privilege? It is the unspoken social advantage people get for being conventionally attractive. It shows up as social bias, opportunities, treatment, and visibility. But is it really about just how someone looks? Or is it aura? I love the word aura. I know it's trending in social media terms now, but when we describe aura, it's when you walk into a room and people feel you before they even look. Now, the connotations we get from aura is it is related to someone who's very pretty, who might have good genetics, good physique. But first, it is contextual. Due to culture, what is privileged in one space can also be invisible in another. A great example of this is in Europe, tan skin is put on a pedestal. Like you've gone on holiday, you can afford to go on a holiday. Whereas in Asia, having very pale or lighter skin is something that is desirable. And that is translated into markets and products you find. You'll find whitening in most sunscreens. It has evolved now. But contextually, because of different cultures and different beauty standards, what is presumed a beauty standard in one country might not be the same in another. So aura, pretty privilege is also very contextual. It is deeply layered because pretty privilege is just another form of social capital, like money or network. It can open doors, but it does not guarantee fulfillment, respect, or self-worth. Now, look maxing. That's a new term for me, but I've been seeing it a lot on social media, especially platforms like TikTok. Yeah, the term comes from red pill spaces, and there it's framed in a very shallow and obsessive way. I might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but here's the difference between look maxing in a very vanity way. I don't think it's just aesthetics. It is quite literally embodiment and fulfilling your fullest potential. At the surface level, the internet definition is maxing out your looks, skincare, fashion, fitness, even surgery, basically trying to squeeze every drop out of your genetics. But on our deeper level, when you fully embody your highest self in a way that upgrades how people experience you, that's where aura maxing comes in. This is translated into your posture, in your energy, in eye contact, in stillness. You can look max without a single cosmetic change if your presence, discipline, and alignment make people feel you before they even register what you're wearing. Sure, when you see someone with good style, you want to compliment them, you might remember their outfit. But the number one thing that leaves people thinking about you is the way that you made them feel. Your energy, the impression they had of you. So why is it important to make sure that we aura max or take care of how we look? Changing your body is the fastest way to break your own belief systems, to create leverage. And if you notice, most people in shape, most of the time have their career in check. Not because they're rich and can afford health, but because they've embodied the identity and with it, the traits that successful people share. It's not a surprise, but the skills and traits of someone who is financially secure and someone who is disciplined in their health and routine usually overlap. Now, let's say you've dropped 10 pounds, you're in your dream body, you created some leverage, some transformation. Learning the art of soft skills is the real leverage. Think of it like window shopping. The aesthetic of a bag makes you look, but what makes you buy is how it makes you feel. Sometimes you can't even put your finger on it, but it activates you for some weird reason. You're like, I need this bag right now. It feels so unique from every other bag that you have seen. You have to get it. Obviously, you're way more complex than a handbag, but your biggest asset is mastering the art of soft skills, like communication. Learning how to say less with more. creating space where others feel deeply seen and understood. Now, one of my favorite soft skills is curiosity. If you're a terrible communicator, getting good at being curious is the easiest way to build soft skills because you have that innately. Channeling your childlike curiosity is one of the biggest soft skills that can leverage great communication skills, better relationships, and better connection. Riz, also short for charisma. Having Riz isn't about flirting, picking girls up, knowing what to text him. It is Gen Z slang for charisma and magnetism. It's showing up so comfortable in who you are and your body that people gravitate towards you. Now, Riz is connotated to those videos you see online where people go up to strangers and have a good pickup line and they're like, wow, good Riz. But what Riz really is showing up so comfortable in who you are and your body that people gravitate towards you. People let their walls down easily and people just feel like you're easy to talk to. People with Riz are also usually good at sales. Even if you aren't in sales or in business or do anything to do with sales, putting the connotation aside, putting the salesman connotation aside, logically understanding that everything in life is a negotiation and a manipulation. It sounds terrible. The word manipulation, the word negotiation, it feels like everything is transactional. But the reality is when you understand sales psychology, you learn how to be a better networker, a better communicator. You know how to voice your desires and let people in as well. A lot of the interactions I've had, the conversations I have with my clients, with my friends, with strangers at the cafe, one of the most common things I get is, wow, I don't know why I feel so comfortable talking to you. Wow, I don't know how you did that. Like, that is seriously an interaction that I've had. And because I have a background in learning sales, and I always lead with genuine intention. That's the first thing. I will always lead with genuine intention because energy is felt. People don't like being sold to. I like being sold to in something that I really want. But because of the connotations of being sold to, it feels icky, it feels transactional, it feels misaligned. I want to put all those connotations aside and understand the principle of human psychology, which is the fact that the word choice, the questions you ask, your eye contact, your pacing, your micro expressions are all things that determine how deep of connection you make, the boundaries that you set, the connections that you form. So I'm not saying go pick up a sales book or take a sales course, but just understanding the basic of sales, you will truly understand how you can apply that and master winning friends and influencing people. That is actually a great book to first start off with. Now, here's a soft skill that is never talked about, which is silence. Not rushing to fill space because you're uncomfortable with the silence or you want to feel interesting or feel like it's not awkward. Learn how to feel so neutral with the awkwardness. But you're also not withholding to manipulate a situation in your favor. Now, I've added this little story tidbit, and this goes back to when you're speaking about aura. This specific situation happened when I was in bodybuilding prep. I finished my first show, and I was probably 2 days after the show. I went to this cafe in Tongor, downtown Bangkok, and I had a stranger send me coffee. He literally watched what I ordered at the counter, and then he sent me a coffee as a second one. When I was living in Phuket in 2021, I was driving to my gym to do cardio in the morning, and I witnessed a foreigner quite literally nearly crashes a motorbike because he took a second look. He nearly crashed. And of course, that is probably very surface level examples of aura, but that is how aura feels like in practice. And when it comes back to pretty privilege, is I've also been deep in my off season where that sense of aura and pretty privilege feels different. It is not something I take personally, first of all. I like my shapes at all sizes. I like it when I'm lean. I like where I am now. I can appreciate all the different shapes and sizes and how amazing the female body is. But I cannot deny the experience of how society treats you, especially when the time frame is within 6-7 months. Last December, I was shredded. Now we're 7 months into 2025. I'm holding a bit more body fat. So this isn't so much how society changes or anything like that. This is within a very short time frame. So I've been able to have these fresh experiences within a very short time frame. So I can say this with my full heart that pretty privilege is very real. But you cannot leverage that by just being surface level. That is one element of becoming someone who has strong aura, strong presence, where their energy is felt. It is also building the soft skills and doing the inner work so that you can fully leverage being a high value woman in society. Lesson number 3, it is woo woo until it works. Manifestation is not magic. It is nervous system reprogramming. Your brain literally doesn't know the difference between what's imagined and what's lived. Your dominant thoughts literally sculpt your external reality, not because the universe hates you, but because your brain hasn't been fed a new belief to work with. What you keep rehearsing in here, you will keep reinforcing out here. Once I understood this principle, everything changed. Understanding that everything around you is a mirror. Nothing is personal, and emotional immunity is the ultimate flex. Because weak minds collapse under stress, and strong minds alchemize it. They turn pain into power. When something hits you, of course you're human, but instead of asking why me, you are able to transform problems into lessons and opportunities. So I've given you a lot of theory, but I'm also here to give you the strategy so that you can action it, so then you can have the exact method and it not just feels like a concept that you don't know where to start. So here's how to turn woo-woo into strategy that sculpts identity and physique ASAP. Finding your archetype. You can start with a framework that I use with my clients, which is writing your movie script. You're writing a movie script of who you're becoming, her habits, values, routines, even flaws. The more detail, the more vivid you can get with your vision, the more your brain accepts that it is real. And I encourage you to repeat this exercise 2 or 3 times. You're probably not going to be able to get deep the first go. And here's a catch. The first time you write the movie script, you're probably going to look back one day and you'll be like, whoa, what was this? It's going to feel like that because your brain is at its earliest stage of identity shift and it feels so unnatural because you haven't embodied her yet. But once you start to make shifts, you start to evolve, you start to progress at lightning speed. You are going to continue to do this exercise over and over and over again, even subconsciously, even though if you're not writing it down, because it taps into a very sensory part of your brain. And once you feel those things, you feel a pull to act on it because you got a glimpse of what it would feel like. So there's no other option than to fully act on it right now. Threads nicely into the second step, which is embodiment. Act as if. Day 1, no waiting until Monday, no when I'm ready. Every action, how you eat, how you dress, how you text, aligns with the highest version of you right here, right now. Literally, you can decide in the next 5 minutes, the next 10 seconds, to just fully embody as her. When you start your day on a bad note, you can still transform it into a good day without writing it off. That is how you start to embody without creating such a big stepping stone. Look at the smallest next step action possible. For example, if you wake up tomorrow morning and you start scrolling on your feed and you're like, I shouldn't have done that. You can literally put it down, stand up, and turn your day around. You already know that deep down. But it's just a reminder that embodiment and acting as if doesn't have to come from major decisions right away. It's just interrupting that loop, interrupting that pattern, calling out that pattern so that you can start changing it. Document, collect proof, screenshots, progress photos, journal entries, old photos, and even compliments. Every piece of evidence is a receipt that reinforces belief. I have a corkboard in my bedroom where I've printed screenshots, I've collected letters, cards, little notes I've collected over the last few years, and I put it all in one place. And whenever I read it, I am reminded by the people who love me the most and who will always keep it real with me that I am great at what I do, that I am a great human being and friend and coach. There's so much power in having things and evidence right in front of you. So I highly encourage having some kind of physical proof in front of you, whether that's a lock screen, you can create a collage on Canva or something like that, or actually printing it out and putting it on a board in your bedroom. Lastly, signal. The concept of signal and noise, I'm not very sure who started it, but I learned it from Steve Jobs and Kevin O'Leary. It is the idea that differentiates between what things signal for you to start that task, start that project, go to the gym. You want to protect that signal as best as you can. What are the noises that are pulling you away from that task? You want to identify it so you can block the noise. So write down what's actually pulling you forward versus what's keeping you stuck in your past identity. And what you want to do is you want to guard that signal like your life depends on it. Because it does. Lesson number 4. Ready is a decision. We've talked about embodiment, but when it comes to embodiment, you can't Pinterest your board your way into a new identity. Don't get me wrong, I love Pinterest. But you don't find readiness. A lot of things can activate that, but you have to decide it. Because intention beats motivation every single time. Motivation is simply a catalyst, a spark. But making that decision firmly, saying that intention loudly, is the ignition. Because once you decide, your nervous system recalibrates to follow through. So when you focus on micro actions, like wearing the clothes that she would wear, eating the way she eats, walking into the gym the way she would, surround yourself with the people the way that she would. Each action is a vote cast for your future self. When we start stacking up these micro actions, you start reinforcing. Because repetition builds reality. You don't try to become her. You stack so much proof that it's undeniable. Automatic becomes identity. And once that is all automatic and you have great momentum, identity becomes destiny. Not hope, not chance. It becomes inevitable. Your thoughts are your reality. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what's imagined, what's lived. I know I said this earlier in the video, but mental reps are quite literally like the reps you put in the gym. Muscle grows once you repeat it, it breaks down, it repairs, it gets stronger. It is quite literally the same with the thoughts that we have in here, which means every time you repeat the story, I am not ready yet. I'm not good enough. I'll be ready when? Your brain wires it deeper. So you need to start by changing the story so you can change the circuitry of your brain and rewire the thoughts that keep looping so that you can change the body. Lesson number 5, how to turn pain into power. Now, a lot of these lessons do cross over, so I'm doing my best to keep each lesson like its own, but there's going to inevitably be some crossover because identity, it's all connected. Number 1, catalyst. So pain is the ignition. You see a lot of content that talk about pain, especially if you've seen the male side of social media algorithm where it's like a lot of hustle, a lot of, like, let the pain change you. Oh, that breakup changed, bro. And like all that kind of stuff. I truly think society is changing as a whole, not just in the female space, but in the male space as well. And I feel like a lot of people in society are starting to switch off when they see any type of content that ignites pain. Because there is truth. The pain of your current reality has to be much stronger than the pain of going through the process. That's just human. Like, that is just human psychology. But when we talk about pain, if you use pain as your only fuel and you don't turn that into power, it becomes very unsustainable. It's not so much not experiencing any pain at all, because it's proven in human psychology you have to go through pain to really want change. But it's really about finding a sustainable fuel. And that comes from understanding how to turn pain into power every single time. It comes from making a choice. Pain either becomes the excuse you cling to or the fire you alchemize. It is the same pain you experience anyways, but it will create a different outcome. One outcome keeps you stuck, and the other makes you feel unstoppable. I feel like every single person I've spoken to who have built a successful business, they're in shape, including myself, have experienced quite a high level pain of their life. And the one thing they have in common is that threshold. You'll only really change when the pain of staying where you are feels heavier than the pain of transformation. And that's the breaking point. The breaking point that forces you to transform that into power. When you transmute pain, it becomes leverage. Every rep builds muscle. Every consistent choice builds discipline. Every standard you raise shifts your reality. And once that all starts to shift, we create the compound effect. There's so many different levels of pain. There's like low-grade pain, So it's like that feeling like, oh, you know you need to do something about it, but you ignore it and it doesn't create any like so much pain on the daily, and there's chronic pain. For example, like getting a tattoo or something, like you're gonna feel chronic pain in that single moment, or like an injury. But the choice you have to make is you either let it compound as regret or it compounds as power. You get to choose which stack you're building. On to our final lesson before I give you the strategy. Fluctuation is not failure. Your fitness journey should be broken down into phases, and fat loss is a phase, not a lifestyle. I've not just dropped 70 pounds in one go. I've held, maintained, gained, lost, gained again, lost again. And something that I've learned the importance throughout is understanding hormonal health. I think some of the biohacking social media is like very fear-mongering and makes people worried about their hormones. It should be a priority. Female hormones thrive when not in a deficit. No matter how sustainable and flexible your diet approach is, dieting by default is stressful on the body. I highly recommend any female getting blood work done every 6 months at the minimum. Not because anything is wrong, but I think it's just a great way to indicate if anything is off. That way you can optimize your strategy to fit in what you actually need. Here are some signs that you've gone too hard. As someone who has struggled with thyroid issues and hormonal imbalances as a result of competing, even though I love competing, I understand the risk that comes with deciding to do an extreme sport. Like a lot of female athletes at a high level in extreme sports do, they do struggle with these things, such as irregular cycle, loss of hair, loss of personality, low energy, brain fog. Now, I didn't experience all of this. I experienced some of them. These are all very generic signs, but they are all biofeedback that point towards optimizing nervous system and approach. But your dream body is most likely more than one deficit away. It'll probably look like you're going into a deficit / recomp, a mild surplus, going to deficit, then maintain. But understanding and breaking your journey into phases is what's going to help you get in shape and stay there for life, and understanding that life is all about evolution. Subscribing to literally singular version of yourself is one way to stop growing. Of course, you want to get to a place where you feel stable in the body that you're in and you feel secure in the shape that you're in, but understanding that it is a journey and you can continuously choose to evolve. Once you stop viewing your fitness journey from A to B, like, oh, I'm gonna lose the weight, I'm gonna be good, that's where you're actually gonna get to your dream body much faster. Yes, identity is everything, but you still need a vehicle, a strategy. So if you want access to this entire notion you can look back on, I'm gonna include the link in my bio and I'll send it straight to your inbox. So these are the 6 lessons I've learned from transforming so much. Because I know you're an action taker, I'm going to leave you with some action items for you to start within the next 72 hours. Number 1, pick 2 non-negotiables and start within 72 hours. I want you to track the next 7 days because data removes Delulu and what you measure, you master. After the next week, I want you to start refining. Audit weekly. Keep what works, cut what drags. The mission isn't perfection, it's evolution. I will also include the resources that I use with my clients, like a Macros Made Easy book and a movie script framework. You can find that in the link in my bio. And of course, if you like videos like this and you're a 20-something woman who's working towards building her dream body, building her dream business, building her dream life, possibly considering moving to Thailand on the other side of the world, you're in the right place. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss more content like this. Leaving you with love and light from Bangkok.